Welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of NesTea versus LoveCD. And what do you think we're going to be seeing here on this second game after we saw NesTea completely dominate that last game with just attacks all over the map, insane macro, considering that we're going to be going on Shattered Temple for this second game here?
Well, unfortunately, I feel kind of bad for LoveCD right now because Shattered Temple, maybe this is my personal opinion, I'm wrong on this, but I feel personally like it's with the changes from Lost Temple, it's a little bit harder to deal with for Protoss in this matchup, as the entire middle of the map is pretty much one of the most open, uninterrupted, empty spaces of land of any of the maps in the map pool. So Zerg can really set up flanks really easily. You can't use force fields nearly as much to your advantage. And also, of course, the natural choke got widened a little bit. So it's a little bit harder for Protoss to deal with. And I feel like a lot of it, obviously not the game outcome, but a lot of what's going to happen on this map is going to come down to spawns, because in certain spawns, that new third base that they essentially created with just the destructible rocks blocking it, that's a fantastic base for Protoss to take as their third. Really easy to defend depending on the spawns. But if it happens to be between them, if they're at close spawns for walking distance, then we'll see a little bit of a different outcome with that third base.
Yeah, of course, one of the important things to keep in mind is that we're using the stock version of Shattered Temple in this tournament. The map pool was selected back in, I think, January or February, well before tournaments had really started using the no cross position or no close ground positions versions of the map. And not sure if that's going to get changed in the rest of the tournament or not, but essentially we are going to be using the latter versions of these maps. And I've got this replay loaded up, so why don't we get this game underway?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so warping here in the 9 o'clock position, we do have Team Weehot, a.k.a. LoveCD, as our blue Protoss. At the 12 o'clock position, morphing in is I am NesTea. Our red Zerg absolutely dominated the last game. So we are actually in these close positions with walking distances. As you can see, that third up in the top left, it'll be a lot harder if Protoss wants to take that, because of course Zerg can just run straight in there from the natural. So a lot more of a contested base that I would say would be a lot less likely for either player to take in this game. So it's going to be up to LoveCD. I feel like he's going to have to put the pressure on here if he wants to win this game. He's going to have to utilize these close positions to his advantage and keep NesTea under pressure all game long.
Yeah, and right now we're actually seeing LoveCD is going to be immediately scouting out the close ground position because, of course, logically this is the easiest position to scout. He's going to be doing that right after he throws down his pylon. Isn't going to wait for the gateway or anything like that to complete. And he's going to be getting a lot of scouting information from this, as he's going to be able to watch NesTea's timings precisely. And a player of this caliber, I would expect to really be able to get a lot of information from just watching how many drones he makes, when this extractor goes down, how many drones he puts on that extractor, when that spawning pool goes down, things like that, as all of those are just tiny signals into what NesTea's plan is for the later stage of this game. He's going to steal some minerals here, not really to be matter. What this allows him to do, again, for any of the newer players out there, is if he wants to continue running this probe around, then in the event that this probe gets surrounded, he can simply hit C for return cargo, and that probe will mineral walk his way back to the home nexus and just walk right through that drone surround. So just a way to make that micro a little bit easier rather than scrambling around the screen to find a mineral patch to click.
Yeah, really nice little trick there to have. You often, of course, see players do the little trick where they try to keep mining the minerals and stopping just to really prevent their opponent from being able to mine from all the mineral patches. But that trick's pretty good for being able to deal with those when Zerglings start to surround you, drones start to surround you, and of course you do get 5 minerals from your opponent. So there's nothing bad about it for sure.
Yeah, that 5 minerals could change the game. You never know if it's really close. Like, for example, Idra versus Jinro on Jungle Basin. Maybe if Idra had 5 more minerals that he stole from Jinro, he might have been able to take that game. It was that close. You never know. So Cybernetics core just finishing right now. He's going to immediately start chrono boosting that warp gate. He's got the Zealot already in position to block these Zerglings from getting in. Again, interesting opening from LoveCD. He doesn't seem to wall off his ramp with these early buildings. He rather waits for the second gateway and the cybernetics core to actually finish, as well as that second pylon, before he starts setting that wall up. And I have to wonder if that's just a bit of a maybe bait and switch there. If he finds his opponents in the cross positions and tries to make him run a ton of units across the map, if he's really confident with his ability to defend that kind of attack with those timings, and in the event that he sees him in the close positions, he can wall that off and not have to worry about those kind of those run bys. So
yeah, I think it's definitely spawn dependent. I would worry though, you know, if a Zerg were to go for an extremely cheesy build like a 6-pool, which you wouldn't expect to see NesTea do, but if you did see a Zerg player do something like that, then you know, if you don't wall off his Protoss, it's going to be much harder to defend off. But of course, LoveCD feeling pretty confident that he's not going to see a type of build like that from NesTea, so it doesn't really need to do that. But I mean, he did see the gas pool opening from NesTea, so I think that's why he actually chose to decide, all right, you know what, I'm going to go wall this off, because gas pool, you could see Baneling busts, you could see Speedling busts, and it helps so very much to have that choke with the Zealot. It essentially makes it so that Zerg can't attack with Zerglings up that ramp. Which is really helpful if they try to be really aggressive in the early game.
So it does look like LoveCD right now is gearing up to go for the 3-gate expansion. And it's not going to wait until he has 1,000,000 sentries, just enough to hold off this initial round of Zerglings, keep them at bay. And he's also going to be researching hallucinations so he can get some scouting information. He knows that at this point, units on the ground are not going to be able to make their way into the base of NesTea and get any information. But of course, we are observers, and we're going to be able to take an omnipotent look at exactly what NesTea is doing. We see the Roach one is already complete. He's got 6 Roaches on the way, so it does look like he wants to apply a lot of pressure to this expansion. No 4th Warp Gate or anything like that right now. No Stalkers out on the field. Either is going to add on the 4th Gateway there at the natural expansion. Start setting up a bit of a choke here. 5th Gateway as well. And he keeps... Every single time he throws down a building, this choke gets smaller and smaller, and it's going to be easier for him to work with. But again, no significantly hard-hitting units in this army composition right now. First Stalker's on the way, but here come the first round of Roaches.
He should be able to deal with this many Roaches pretty easily. Oh, a couple missed force fields there. Messed it up a little bit there. Now set himself up into a bad position where they can attack that gateway. But as long as he just keeps his production up, chrono boosts those warp gates, he should be able to defend this with some good force field usage.
Yeah, so NesTea's just looking for the opportunity to actually get in there and start dealing damage. He has to be careful, though, because, of course, LoveCD does have force fields to work with, and as soon as he gets a really nice set of force fields off, then NesTea is going to have to commit to the attack. So he just wants to make sure that he has the best opportunity. There it goes. Force fields are going down when NesTea tries to cross through that choke line there. And it's going to be pretty hard for NesTea to actually get in there. We see only 3 Roaches actually manage to squeeze through there. And it does look like LoveCD is going to be able to hold these initial Roaches off. But NesTea is going to continue with the aggression. We see 16 Zerglings under construction right now.
Yeah, he's moving forward with these Roaches. I don't think it's a very good idea. He does just get a bunch of them blocked off by those force fields. However, he doesn't finish the force field wall, and they are able to escape. I mean, he's being hyper-aggressive right now. If you look at his drones, it's not that high. I mean, his drone count is even lower than his Protoss opponents. So NesTea being really hyper-aggressive here. Not sure if that would be the wisest move for him. His macro in the late game is so phenomenal. He didn't want to let LoveCD get that free expansion up. But I still feel like after he set up that choke, got those nice force fields off, probably should have fallen back, tried something else. You know, get that burrow upgrade going. You know, at least get your lair on the way. I mean, he is going for quad gas right now and still doesn't have a lair upgrading. So, not sure what he's planning on doing with this gas timing. I'm assuming he has something special in mind.
Well, he's continuing to add drones and. Keeping in mind that he's only on hatchery tech, his only other real option at this point, no, he is going to throw down a lair. I was going to say his only real other option is to go for some Banelings. And NesTea is just continuing to bounce around in front of the natural expansion of LoveCD with these Zerglings, trying to keep him in his base, keep LoveCD on his toes, and maybe try to squeeze out some extra force fields out of LoveCD, only maybe throwing away a few Zerglings at a time in exchange for that. So not a huge deal. There goes one force field, and that's exactly what NesTea is looking for at this point in the game. Just a little bit too antsy is LoveCD right now. Just start getting a little poetic. I sound like Dr. Seuss. Pylon's going to go down here as well so he can warp in a little bit further. So there's another gateway, so he really wants to have a nice and secure natural expansion so he can start moving out on the rest of the map using these warp-ins. Has he added on any other kind of tech? No. Oh, he does have a robotic facility done.
NesTea playing pretty perfectly with these Zerglings. He's taking very minimal damage, and he knows exactly when LoveCD moved out. So he's sitting above perfect flank right here. No force fields went down. Now he's blocking off the roaches. Could have blocked off those Zerglings, but unfortunately, NesTea did not move those roaches in so that he'd be able to continue attacking while those Zerglings were attacking with that beautiful flank. But I'm not really sure what LoveCD is doing right here. I mean, he's setting up that forward pylon, but he's just doing this kind of slow push. He's not really... He's not being hyper aggressive, but he's putting the pressure on, so NesTea's forced to create quite a lot of units right now. But NesTea did catch up on harvesters during that time that LoveCD was, forced to sit in his base due to that harass. So NesTea not in a bad position right here at all. He has caught up in income, so assuming he can set up a good flank, get up a good positioning right here, and doesn't get caught off guard too much by these force fields, should be pretty good. That Spinecrawler does get taken out. And LoveCD has a pretty scary army right there. That's a lot of stalkers, and now he's got an immortal out. So I don't know how NesTea's going to deal with this. He does have a Hydra Den out, but no Hydras in the field. Yeah, we do have 9 on the way, going to be coming out here, and range is about a third of the way done. So if he can delay this attack for these Hydras, it'll be really good for him.
Yeah, and he's trying to set up a Zergling flank here, and he will be able to get him. And no, the force fields come down, completely shutting them out. And excellent force fields right now for LoveCD. Has really got himself in a nice position. Hydra's still able to shoot over those force fields. Now the Zerglings are able to start pouring through. Some more force fields are going to go down. Guardian Shield on top of those key units there, but it does look like NesTea is going to be able to kill up. No, some more reinforcements coming in for LoveCD, and now NesTea is in a lot of trouble. 14 Hydralists just about to pop. Drones are going to come off the line. Force fields there down on the ramp, but still just not enough stuff here at the natural expansion for NesTea to hold this off. Will he be able to break down his ramp is the key question right now. No sentries on the field remaining, so he will be able to run down his ramp and start being able to legitimately defend this attack rather than having to fight it off with like half his army.
This timing is just so close, it's unbelievable. I mean, NesTea got himself in a bad position right there with those force fields, didn't fall back, lost a bunch of units, but now he's just taking over with these Hydras. Unfortunately, they are getting killed by these Stalkers, though. A couple missteps going on here from NesTea. Not really sure what he's doing. He does have 7 more Hydras on the way, but he's just hanging on by the skin of his teeth. And if he hadn't made those really big micro mistakes, I feel like he would have held that off with a lot of ease.
Yeah, it's just really that first engagement, or the first part of that engagement where the 2 force fields went down, or 2 lines of force fields went down, put him in a really tough position. Hydras still continue to do a really good job with their very high DPS, but there's just not enough stuff for NesTea to hold on. He's only mining off of 1 base, and he has to throw out the GG. Excellent timing there, coming out of LoveCD, and that will tie the series up 1-1.
Yeah, LoveCD really got himself into a pretty good position that game, as he did get his 1-1 upgrades going there, whereas NesTea was just at +1 attack. So he did have the upgrade advantage in that attack, but as you said, he set up those 2 lines of force fields, those beautiful force fields. But what I saw that entire time shocked me. NesTea just kind of sat there. First off, his Zerglings, which actually had a space they could have run through, were sitting, AFK, like outside of the force fields with space they could have run through, not moving. And he let his Hydras and Roaches just kind of sit there on attack move, where a lot of them were glitching out, not attacking, and they were still getting attacked, but not attacking at all. And if he just, I feel like if he had just moved those back a little bit to his natural, a little bit farther back, since CD's forces were not in range of those buildings yet, he could have just waited for the force fields to die off, and CD would not have had enough energy to drop those down again. So I feel like he would have had a much better situation there, but instead, unfortunately, that big micro mistake, I feel like lost him that engagement and lost him the game.
Yeah, so that's going to tie the series up 1-1, which means we're going to have a third game between these 2 players, and we're going to get that started right away. Once again, you guys are watching the Gigabyte StarsWar Killer Tournament number 6 here on IC Cup TV. Once again, I am Prodigy, and with me is Orb, and we'll be right back with Game 3. Don't go anywhere.